from February to November, race fans around the world will be sitting in front of their TVs, cheering on their favorite drivers. To those fans, NASCAR is one of the greatest sports around. It's all about the power behind the wheel, the intensity you get from watching a race, and the dedication put into it by the drivers and crew chiefs. It is also one of the fastest growing spectator sports in the U.S. It has a long history dating back to 1947, and for those of you who don't know much about it, it is much more than just another sport. According to Wikipedia, back in the 1920s, stock car racing had its origins in bootlegging during the Prohibition. Bootleggers would modify their cars for speed and handling, also as well as cargo capacity. Eventually, around 1940, races were being held for pride and profit. Bill France Sr., who you can see on the left, had come to Florida from Washington, D.C. years earlier. He started promoting races on the city's famed road courses, often racing himself. He was a man of strong will and ambition, said by NASCAR.com's article NASCAR 101. Because of the serious lack of organization in these races, Bill took it upon himself to organize a meeting at the Streamline Hotel in Daytona Beach, Florida in 1947, which you can see on the bottom left, to discuss such problems. By the time the meeting was over, NASCAR was born. According to NASCAR 101, the first race was held in Daytona, Florida's beach course, February 15th of 1948. The first paved racetrack wasn't constructed until 1958 by Bill French himself in Daytona. This was 2.5-mile, high-banked superspeedway built 4 miles off the beach. This track would become home to the Daytona 500, the biggest, richest, and most prestige race in all of America. By 2012, it would become a total of 480 acres. It even claimed the life of Dale Earnhardt, a racing legend who died in a last lap wreck in 2001. Overall, there are currently 23 active racetracks that host NASCAR's top 2 racing divisions. Now in all of NASCAR, there are 3 racing divisions. The first one is called the Sprint Cup Series, which began in 1972. It is motorsport's highest level of competition. It consists of 36 races over 10 months with some of the most popular drivers in the business, such as Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon. The second most popular division is the Nationwide Series, which began in 1982. It has a shorter season and races on Saturday nights instead of Sunday nights, such as the Sprint Cup. Many of the drivers in this series also race in the Sprint Cup. And last but not least, the Camping World Truck Series, which began in 1994. It first started as the Super Truck Series, but changed its name in 2009. Now this division consists of modified pickup trucks rather than cars. The division NASCAR may have a long history, but is also one of the fastest growing spectator sports in the U.S. Now, as you can see here, this is a Brickyard 400 ticket in 1994, and then that is a Brickyard 400 ticket in 2010. So you can kind of see the history and how the tickets themselves really changed. And then the top is a typical Nationwide Sprint Cup car, and then the bottom are the Camping World Truck Series, so you can tell the difference in the body size. In 1976, NASCAR took the lead in worldwide motorsports attendance for the first time, with more than 1.4 million spectators making their way to the event. In 1979, the Daytona 500 was the first race to be televised, according to NASCAR.com. In order to help feed its growth, NASCAR then launched its website, NASCAR.com, in 1995. From 1993 to 1998, the Cup Series at-track attendance alone grew from 2.2 million to more than 6.3 million. Viewership for the Daytona 500 also grew from 6 million to 18.7 million viewers between 1993 and 2002. In 2001 alone, viewership grew from 32% when broadcasted by Fox Sports. According to ESPN, the average attendance for a Cowboys football game was 85,512 in 2001, with an annual attendance of more than 1.2 million. Now, the Cowboys were ranked number 1 attendance-wise. And if you think that's impressive, wait till you hear this. According to NASCAR's racing statistics, The average attendance for a NASCAR race in 2011 was over 99,000, with an annual of 3.6 million. Now, in order for NASCAR to continue to grow, it needs the help of its fans. And as fans, we know that NASCAR is much more than just another sport. For some of you, NASCAR might be another sport, but for me, it's an experience. Growing up around racing, I grew to love the sport and understand the work put into each race. A NASCAR race is like one big test of endurance. On the days prior to race day, drivers evaluate their cars and practice. Fridays are qualifying days. Each driver gets 2 laps around the track to record their fastest times. The fastest time gets a Coors Light pole award and pole position. Second fastest starts right beside the leader, and the rest of the field follows suit. There are 43 cars total, and they line up 2 by 2, double file behind the leader. Next is race day, which for the Sprint Cup, my favorite series, is Sundays. There are very few sporting events that match the pageantry and pure size of one of these races. On race day, the national anthem is sung, fighter jets fly over the track, and the drivers get settled and buckled into their cars, which are lined down pit road, as you can tell up here. The ceremonial command of driver start your engines is given, and the cars are on the track. NASCAR races are grueling races that can last for up to 3 hours and 600 miles, with the cars hitting an average speed of 190 miles per hour. Drivers don't get bathroom breaks, they don't get timeouts, or time to eat. They are only allowed a quick drink during their 11 to 14 second pit stops. Normally, during the heart of the NASCAR season, it's also the heart of summer. And I think we all know how hot those can be. During an interview with Matt Kenseth, a famous driver of the Cup Series, stated the inside of a car is 30 to 40 degrees hotter than outside. Imagine being strapped inside a race car non-stop for 3 hours in a full fire-protected suit, gloves, helmet, and neck brace when it's 90 degrees outside. That means it would be about 120 degrees inside the car. That would be pretty unbearable for any average person. Ultimately, what drivers go through in a race weekend is probably more than what a sports team does in a whole season. At the end of the day, no one can truly appreciate the sport of NASCAR unless you've witnessed it firsthand. Thankfully, I've been blessed to be able to witness 12 of the events. It's more than just a sport, and it's also an experience. Its rich 64-year history tells a lot of it and the people involved. If you've never been a fan, maybe now you won't skip over a race while you're flipping channels on your TV.